What's up, addicts? In this video, we're going to be going over the fantasy recap of the Guardians and Renegades game in Week 5, giving you guys all the insight and analysis to how this game played out from a fantasy perspective. But anyway, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get into the video. It's a pretty interesting game in this one. New York ends up winning this game 30-12, beating out the Renegades at home. The Renegades are now 0-3 at home. Continues to be surprising. The Guardians ended up winning this one even through some questionable calls in the first half that really threatened to impede their ability to win this game. Really came alive in the second half. Look much more solid and put together. It's amazing what Luis Perez has been able to help this team refine their identity after losing it in Week 2. They have looked like a completely different team and definitely are contenders in the East now. And a lot of that just has to go with both the coaches, but mostly what Luis Perez is doing, even though he's not making any spectacular plays like a Josh Johnson or a Philip Walker in this league. He's doing just enough. This team has a strong defense. They're really becoming a run team on the ground. Whereas on the other side, we see Philip Nelson. See, I say Philip, and I want to say Philip Walker because he's awesome. Whereas Philip Nelson sucks. Sorry, guys. He isn't good. I'm really hoping that this team reassesses over this week and decides to give Eric Dungy the start next week, because we've seen 2 weeks plus a quarter of Philip Nelson now, and we've got nothing but crap. They've yet to score an offensive touchdown with Philip Nelson there for 9 quarters, which we're done. No more Philip Nelson, please. It's depressing the value of every player on this team. It's incredibly frustrating from a fantasy perspective. Get well soon, Landry Jones, but in the meanwhile, can we please see if Eric Dungy can do anything differently? Anyway, let's look at the stats for this game, beginning with the away team, the New York Guardians. Alright, as mentioned, Luis Perez, 16 of 30, 229 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, had a 80-yard touchdown pass to Colby Pearson. Overall, just very much dink and dunk, still averaging 7.6 yards per attempt, so not anything crazy here. He really is just becoming a game manager type quarterback, but for a team like the New York Guardians in the XFL, that is exactly what they need. They're still getting it done on the ground. This is turning into more of a running team, led by Darius Victor, 15 carries, only 58 yards today, not as good as last week. Justin Stockton finally saw some more game time. He's only been active in 2 of 5 games this year, but every time he's active, he's looked really good. 5 carries, 41 yards, averaging 8.2 yards per carry. Also had a catch for 8 yards. Tim Cook also involved in this game. Still not very good. 9 carries, 26 yards, 2.9 yards per carry. Jumping down to the receivers, as we had projected, Colby Pearson ended up leading the day in terms of yards. 5 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. Most of that came on that 80-yard touchdown score, so definitely we'll take that. Mikael McKay looked pretty good in this one, considering how well Dallas has been able to shut down the team's #1 option. 7 targets, only 3 catches, but 67 yards. Some of those catches were incredibly athletic, double covered, and still was able to come down with the ball. McKay was the target on the 1 interception that Luis Perez threw, just to further emphasize how much they were covering him. So the fact that he had a day like this is a pretty good sign for him going forward. Only other receiver of note was Teo Redding, had 3 catches for 46 yards, and pretty much everyone else did squat, including the tight ends. We had Jake Powell, only 2 catches for 8 yards, EJ Bibbs, 1 catch for 5 yards. This game was really about one big explosive play by Colby Pearson, mostly running and defense. And that's pretty much what we're probably expecting from this team going forward. Alright, we're going to jump over to the Dallas Renegades, but if you guys are looking to watch an entire replay of this game, with all the fluff cut out, we cut out all the commercials, all of the dead time between plays. You can watch the entire game in under 30 minutes. Make sure you check the link in the description or click the box above me, and you can see the entire game condensed down in a very quick fashion. Anyway, let's get into the Dallas Renegades stats. Alright, the aforementioned Philip Nelson, 28 of 49, 49 attempts in this one. Just barely relied on the run game at all. Makes no sense. 57% completion, 210 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the day. Putrid performance here from Philip Nelson. As I mentioned, there were only 10 carries by running backs in this game and 4 scrambles by Philip Nelson. Cameron Artis-Payne, 6 for 25. Barely used at all. Lance Dunbar, 2 for 6. Austin Walter, 2 for 6. Cameron Artis-Payne, 3 catches for 3 yards. Lance Dunbar had 4 catches for 18 yards. Very disappointing day for those guys. As I mentioned, with Philip Nelson here, it's really just bringing down the value of this entire offense. Flynn Nagel and Donald Parham still seeing a ridiculous number of targets. Flynn Nagel had 7 catches on 9 targets for 46 yards. Donald Parham, 4 of 9 for 34 yards. So just not a good fantasy day for anyone here. Jazz Ferguson, 1 catch for 15 yards. Seth Badet, 8 targets, 3 catches, 14 yards. Just with Philip Nelson playing the way that he's been playing, targets don't really mean too much because they're not turning into catches or conversions. So until this team can find its identity around Nelson or they move to Eric Dungey, it's definitely going to depress the value of all of the pass catching options here in Dallas. Defense played decently, but they weren't able to hold on for long enough while their offense was doing nothing on the other side. It made this game pretty one-sided towards the end of the game for New York. Alright guys, well thank you so much for watching. Again, make sure you check out the rest of the channel. Hit that like and subscribe button for everything that's happening around the XFL. We'll keep you guys updated on that. Also check out our website, fantasyaddictionnetwork.com. We updated our stats page last week to start including consistency charts by position. Really useful in trying to determine who are going to be the best fantasy options going forward. Got rankings and waiver wire advice there too, so make sure you check that out. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.